The result was immediate and terrifying. A brilliant flash of pure stellar fire erupted in space, lasting only a fraction of a second but visible across the entire blockade formation. The energy release was equivalent to a small nuclear weapon, and it had come from something the size of a marble dot. Every sensor in the Crexon fleet screamed warnings. Energy readings spiked beyond anything in their databases. That was approximately 1/1,000,000th of what we're carrying in each pod. Rodriguez explained calmly as the light faded. We have 8 of them. The alien bridge had fallen, completely silent. Ziegthor's forearms hung at his sides as the implications began to sink in. You're threatening to detonate stellar cores in our midst, he whispered. Not threatening, Admiral, informing. You have one choice. Withdraw your forces from this system immediately, or we'll demonstrate exactly what happens when humans decide to solve a problem. Rodriguez cut the transmission, leaving the alien fleet to contemplate the horrifying reality of their situation. The humans hadn't brought a warship to break the blockade. They had brought pieces of a star, asterisk. The stellar revelation, the silence on Admiral Ziegthor's flagship, stretched for nearly a full minute as the crew processed what they had just witnessed. The sensor readings were undeniable. The human ship carried enough compressed stellar material to create 8 miniature suns, each one capable of vaporizing everything within a 1,000-kilometer radius. Admiral, Commander Vex whispered, his crystalline form dimming with fear, if they detonate those cores. I know what will happen, Ziegthor snapped, but his usual confidence had evaporated. He turned to his tactical officer. Silith, analysis. Can they actually control such a release? The Serpentine officer consulted his instruments, his normally steady hands trembling slightly. Sir, our computers can barely comprehend the energy readings. If the humans can compress stellar cores and maintain stable containment, then yes, they could theoretically control the release. But the precision required is apparently within human capability. Ziegthor finished grimly. Throughout the blockade fleet, similar conversations were taking place. Captains who had minutes earlier been confident in their overwhelming superiority now found themselves facing an enemy that had somehow captured the power of stars themselves. Aboard the Prometheus Dawn, Captain Rodriguez maintained her calm demeanor despite the magnitude of what she was about to unleash. Martinez, prepare for controlled release sequence. 8 targets, maximum dispersal pattern. Understood, Captain. Dr. Martinez's fingers danced across her console. Quantum containment fields set for staged collapse. Each pod will expand to full stellar core dimensions over a period of 30 seconds. Park, plot our escape vector. We'll need to clear the immediate area before the first detonation. Already plotted, Captain. We'll have approximately 2 minutes after release before the stellar matter reaches critical expansion. Rodriguez nodded and opened a channel to the entire alien fleet. This is Captain Rodriguez of the HSS Prometheus Dawn, addressing all vessels. In the Kepler 4-4-B system, you have 90 seconds to begin withdrawal from this system. Any ship remaining within 10 million kilometers of this planet after that time will be considered hostile and dealt with accordingly. Admiral Ziegthor's image appeared on her screen immediately. Captain, surely you cannot be serious. You would destroy your own ship along with ours. Admiral, you still don't understand what you're facing. Rodriguez's voice carried the weight of absolute certainty. This ship was designed as a one-way delivery system. My crew and I volunteered for this mission knowing we might not return. But we also know that humanity's survival sometimes requires impossible choices. She gestured to her bridge crew. each one working with quiet determination. Lieutenant Commander Park has a daughter starting university next month. Dr. Martinez has twin boys who just learned to walk. Chief Engineer Thompson's wife is expecting their first child. We all have reasons to want to go home, Admiral, but we have a greater reason to ensure that human colonies remain free. The alien admiral stared at the humans on his screen, beginning to understand that he was facing something beyond his experience. These weren't just warriors or even fanatics. They were ordinary people who had made an extraordinary choice. 60 seconds, Admiral Rodriguez announced. Across the blockade formation, alien captains began reporting to their commanders. Some argued for immediate attack, hoping to destroy the human ship before it could act. Others advocated for withdrawal, unwilling to face controlled stellar A few suggested negotiation, though none could imagine what terms humanity might accept. Admiral Silith reported urgently, several ships are breaking formation. The Vorthok cruiser squadron is beginning to withdraw. Zichther watched his perfect blockade start to fracture. Fear was spreading through the fleet faster than any disease. All vessels maintain positions. The humans are bluffing. 30 seconds, Rodriguez announced. They have to be bluffing, Zichther muttered, but his conviction was wavering. Rodriguez looked around her bridge one final time. Martinez, initiate release sequence. Release sequence initiated. Martinez confirmed. All pods show green. Quantum fields beginning controlled collapse. Outside the Prometheus Dawn, 8 spherical objects detached from the ship's hull, each one glowing with barely contained stellar fire. They moved with purpose, spreading out in a perfect geometric pattern that would maximize coverage of the alien fleet while minimizing damage to the planet below. The first pod reached its designated position and began to expand. What happened next defied every alien understanding of warfare. Instead of a massive, uncontrolled explosion, the compressed stellar core expanded in slow, beautiful waves of pure energy. For 30 seconds, a new star bloomed in space, its brilliance illuminating the entire system. The temperature at its core reached 15 million degrees Celsius, hot enough to trigger fusion reactions in any matter it encountered. 3 Krexan destroyers, caught within the expansion radius, simply ceased to exist. They didn't explode or break apart. They were transformed into component atoms and added to the stellar fire. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the artificial star collapsed back into itself and vanished. Its fuel exhausted, but its message clear. 7 more pods followed in sequence, each one creating a temporary star at a different point in the alien formation. The demonstration was precisely calculated. Ships too slow or too stubborn to withdraw were eliminated cleanly, while those beginning to retreat were left untouched. When the 8th and final star faded, 43 alien vessels had been destroyed. The remaining fleet was scattered across millions of kilometers of space, their formation completely broken. Admiral Zichther found himself staring at empty space where his battle line had been. Status report, he whispered. Fleet elements are scattered, Admiral, Silith reported, his voice hollow. 43 vessels destroyed. No survivors. The human ship. It's gone. The Prometheus Dawn had vanished in the stellar fire of the final pod, its crew choosing to become part of the star they had unleashed rather than face capture. Asterisk, Admiral. The communications officer called out, "We're receiving a transmission." From the planet, the holographic display showed a crowded room filled with human colonists. Men, women, and children of all ages stood together, their faces showing neither fear nor triumph, just quiet determination. An elderly man stepped forward to speak. To the surviving ships of the blockade fleet, I am Governor Michael Chen of Kepler 442b. Captain Rodriguez and her crew have given their lives to demonstrate humanity's resolve. Their sacrifice was not made to threaten you, but to protect us. The governor paused, allowing his words to sink in. We do not seek war with your peoples. We do not wish to conquer your worlds or threaten your families, but we will not be driven from our homes. We will not abandon colonies we have built with our own hands, and we will not bow to those who mistake our desire for peace as weakness. He gestured to the crowd behind him. Every human colony has volunteers like Captain Rodriguez. Every human world has people willing to carry stellar fire to protect their neighbors. This is not a threat. It is simply who we are. The transmission ended, leaving the alien fleet to contemplate their new reality. In the days that followed, news of the Kepler 442b incident spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The story of humans who carried pieces of stars to protect their homes became legend. Some species called them the Star Shepherds. Others whispered about the Solar Guard. But all understood the message. Humanity had shown that they possessed not just the power to create artificial stars, but the wisdom to use that power with precision and restraint. They could have destroyed the entire alien fleet, but they chose to eliminate only those who refused to withdraw. They could have unleashed indiscriminate destruction, but they chose calculated demonstration. Admiral Zekther eventually returned to Crexon space, where he submitted his report to the Dominion Council. His recommendation was simple: humanity should be left alone, not because they were too weak to conquer, but because they were too dangerous to provoke. The solitary arrival fleet, Admiral Zekther of the Crexon Dominion, stood before the massive holographic display in his flagship's command center, his forearms crossed in satisfaction. The tactical screen showed the most impressive military formation the galaxy had witnessed in centuries. 437 warships, each one a masterpiece of alien engineering, formed concentric spheres around the human colony world of Kepler 442b. The vessels represented 7 different species, all united under Crexon leadership in what they called the Great Reckoning. The humans had spread too far, too fast. Their colonies dotted the outer rim territories like scattered seeds, and their technology advanced at an alarming rate. What had started as curiosity about these bipedal mammals had transformed into genuine concern. The Galactic Council had voted unanimously. Humanity's expansion must be contained, starting with their most distant outpost. Admiral, his tactical officer, a serpentine Vorthok named Silith, reported with obvious pride, "The blockade is complete. No vessel can approach or leave the planet without our permission. The humans are completely cut off." Zekther's primary eyes focused on the blue-green world spinning slowly in the center of their formation, home to nearly 2 million human colonists. Kepler 442b represented humanity's boldest venture into deep space. It was also their most vulnerable. The nearest human reinforcements were 6 months away at maximum hyperspace velocity. "Have they responded to our ultimatum?" Zekther asked. "They have, sir." Silith's forked tongue flicked nervously. "They refuse to abandon the colony. They claim it violates something called the Terran Colonial Charter, and that they will defend their right to exist." A rumbling laugh echoed through the command center as Zekther's forearms gestured dismissively. "Defend? With what? Our intelligence reports show no significant military presence on that world. A few orbital platforms. Some ground-based defense systems. Nothing that could challenge even a single one of our destroyers. The communication array crackled to life, interrupting his confidence. "Admiral," the communications officer reported, "we're receiving a transmission from the human government on Earth." "Put it through." The holographic display shifted to show a middle-aged human woman in a simple blue uniform. Her dark hair was pulled back severely, and her brown eyes held an intensity that made several alien officers shift uncomfortably. "This is Secretary of Colonial Defense Maria Santos," the woman said, her voice carrying across the bridge with surprising authority. "To the forces currently blockading Kepler-4 for 2B. You have 1 hour to withdraw from our sovereign territory." Zeke stepped forward, his imposing 7-foot frame casting shadows across the bridge. "I am Fleet Admiral Zeekther of the Krexan Dominion, speaking for the unified forces of 7 civilizations. You are in no position to make demands, human. Your colony will be evacuated peacefully, or we will remove your people by force." Santos smiled, and somehow that expression was more unsettling than any threat. "Admiral, we appreciate your position, but you seem to have misunderstood ours. We're not making demands. We're providing information. In 57 minutes, you will understand why you should have listened." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the bridge in uncomfortable silence. "Arrogance," Zeekther muttered. "Alert. All vessels, begin scanning for approaching human fleets. They must have reinforcements hiding somewhere." Hours passed. Deep space sensors swept the surrounding systems, finding nothing. The human's hour had long since expired, and still no response. Zeekther was beginning to consider that perhaps the humans had simply chosen to bluff, hoping their bravado might somehow convince superior forces to withdraw. Then the sensors detected something. "Admiral," the sensor operator called out, his voice carrying confusion, "I'm reading a single vessel approaching our perimeter. It's alone." The main display zoomed in on the approaching craft. It was unremarkable by any standard. A blocky, utilitarian design that looked more like a cargo hauler than anything resembling a warship. The vessel was perhaps 300 meters long, tiny compared to the massive dreadnoughts that formed the blockade's backbone. "Ship designation?" Zeekther asked. "HSS Prometheus Dawn, sir. According to our databases, it's listed as a deep space research vessel, a research ship." Zeekther's confidence returned with renewed force. "They send scientists to break our blockade. Have they lost their minds? Shall we destroy it, Admiral?" asked Commander Vex, a crystalline being whose species had joined the Alliance specifically to witness human humiliation. "No," Zeekther decided. "Let it approach. I want to hear what desperate plea they've come to make." The Prometheus Dawn continued its steady approach, showing no signs of deceleration as it neared the blockade's outer edge. Several alien captains reported weapons locks on the human vessel. Awaiting orders to fire, Captain Alina Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Prometheus Dawn, her crew of 12 working with quiet efficiency around her. Unlike the grand command centers of alien warships, her bridge was compact, functional, designed for a small team that had worked together for years. "Distance to blockade perimeter?" she asked. 2,000 kilometers and closing, reported Lieutenant Commander James Park, her navigation officer. "They're hailing us, Captain. Ignore them." Martinez, status on the payload. Dr. Sofia Martinez, the ship's chief science officer, checked her readings carefully. All 8 containment pods show stable compression. Quantum field generators are operating within normal parameters. The stellar matter is eager to expand. Rodriguez nodded grimly. The Prometheus dawn carried humanity's most closely guarded secret. For decades, human scientists had been working on quantum matter compression technology, originally designed to make long-distance space travel more efficient by compressing fuel supplies. The breakthrough had come 5 years ago when Dr. Martinez's team realized they could compress more than just hydrogen. They could compress the very heart of a star. "Captain," Park called out, "alien vessels are moving to intercept. They're demanding we stop and prepare to be boarded." "Maintain course and speed," Rodriguez ordered. "Open a channel to the lead vessel." The view screen flickered to life, showing Admiral Ziegler's imposing form. "Human vessel, you will halt immediately and submit to inspection. Your government has been warned about the consequences of interfering with this blockade." Rodriguez smiled calmly. "Admiral Ziegler, I presume. I'm Captain Elena Rodriguez. I have a message from the people of Kepler 4 to be. Surrender terms." Ziegler asked mockingly. "Not exactly." Rodriguez gestured to Martinez, who began entering commands into her console. "Admiral, my ship carries 8 special packages. Each one contains approximately 1 cubic meter of compressed stellar core material held in quantum suspension." There was a moment of silence on the alien bridge before Ziegler laughed. "Stellar core material? Impossible. No species has the technology to contain such energy." "You're right that no species before us has managed it," Rodriguez agreed. "But humans have always been good at doing the impossible. Dr. Martinez, please show the Admiral what we brought." Martinez's hands moved across her controls with practiced precision, releasing containment preview on pod number 1. Outside the Prometheus dawn, a small section of the ship's hull opened, revealing a spherical containment unit roughly the size of a basketball. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the quantum field generated a brief flicker, allowing just a microscopic amount of the compressed stellar matter to expand. The galaxy learned that day that true strength wasn't measured in the size of one's fleet or the power of one's weapons. True strength lay in the willingness of ordinary people to make extraordinary sacrifices for something greater than themselves. "Captain." Elena Rodriguez and her crew were gone, transformed into stellar fire to protect 2 million colonists they would never meet. But their legacy burned brighter than any star. They had shown the galaxy that humanity would not be contained, would not be conquered, and would not be forgotten. The humans had opened their box, and from it had emerged not destruction, but the controlled fury of stars themselves, wielded by people who understood that the greatest weapons are useless without the wisdom to use them properly. The galaxy questioned why humanity had sent only one ship. Now it knew the answer, because one ship carrying stellar fire was enough.